Hworyong concentration camp, or Henjeong concentration camp, was a North Korean death camp that was reportedly closed in 2012. Officially known as Kwaliso, Convict Labor Colony, Number 22, the camp was a maximum security, isolated area. In 2012, analysis of satellite images and reports indicated major changes, including reports of the camp's closure. Camp 22 is located in Hworyong County, North Hamgyong Province, in northeastern North Korea, near the border with China. It is situated in a large valley with many neighboring valleys, surrounded by mountains 400 to 700 m, 1,300 to 2,300 feet, high. The southwestern gate of the camp is located approximately 7 kilometers, 4.3 miles, northeast of Hworyong city center, while the main gate is located approximately 15 kilometers, 9.3 miles, southeast of Kaisantan in China's Jilin province. The camp's western boundary runs parallel to the Tumun River, the border with China, and is 5 to 8 kilometers, 3.1 to 5.0 miles, away. The camp was not included on maps until recently, and the North Korean government has consistently denied its existence. The camp was established around 1965 in Henjeong-ri and expanded to include the areas of Chungbong-ri and Seoul-ri during the 1980s and 1990s. The number of prisoners increased rapidly in the 1990s, when 3 other prison camps in North Hamgyong Province were closed. The prisoners were moved to Camp 22. Kwanliso No. 11, Gyeongsang, was closed in 1989, Kwanliso No. 12, Onsang, was closed in 1992, and Kwanliso No. 13, Changpyeong, in 1992. Camp 22 covers an area of approximately 225 square kilometers, 87 square miles, and is surrounded by a 3,300-volt electric fence on the inside and a barbed wire fence on the outside. Traps and nails are hidden between the two fences. The camp is manned by approximately 1,000 security guards and 500 to 600 administrative officers. Guards are armed with automatic rifles, machine guns, hand grenades, batons, whips, and trained dogs. In the 1990s, the camp held approximately 50,000 prisoners. Most of the prisoners were government critics, those deemed politically unreliable, e.g., South Korean POWs, Christians, and those returning from Japan, or high-ranking party members who had been purged. Under the principle of Yonjwage, prisoners were often held with their entire families, including children and the elderly, and children born in the camp. All prisoners were held until they died, and were never released. Former security guard On Myung-chul described conditions in the camp as dire and life-threatening. He described the shock he felt when he first arrived, comparing prisoners to walking skeletons, dwarves, and cripples in tattered clothing. On estimated that about 30% of the prisoners had disabilities, such as torn ears, broken eyes, crooked noses, and faces covered in wounds and scars from beatings and other abuses. He said that about 2,000 prisoners had no limbs, but even those who used crutches to walk were forced to work. Prisoners were given 180 grams, 6.3 ounces, of corn per meal, twice a day, with almost no vegetables or meat. The only meat in their diet was rats, snakes, frogs, and even insects they caught. On estimated that 1,500 to 2,000 people died of malnutrition there every year, the majority of whom were children. Despite these deaths, the number of prisoners remained the same. The number of new inmates added each year was roughly the same. Children received only basic education. From the age of 6, they were given tasks such as picking vegetables, peeling corn, or drying rice, but were given very little food, only about 360 grams, 13 ounces, a day. As a result, many children died before the age of 10. Older prisoners were made to work like adults. Seriously ill prisoners were isolated, abandoned, and left to die. Single prisoners were housed in nursing homes with 100 people in the same room. In return for good work, families were often allowed to live together in small houses with no running water. The houses were in poor condition, with mud walls and often cracked. All prisoners were only allowed access to dirty, crowded communal bathrooms. Prisoners were forced to work hard in agriculture, mining, and factories from 5 a.m. to 8 p.m., 7 p.m. in winter, followed by ideological and self-critical re-education. New Year's Day was the only day off for prisoners. The mines had no safety measures, and, according to An, prisoners were killed almost every day. Prisoners were able to use basic tools, such as shovels and picks, and were forced to work themselves to exhaustion. If a fire broke out or the tunnel collapsed, prisoners would be left inside and left to die. Kwan Hyuk, a former security guard at Camp 22, reported that bodies were loaded onto trucks with coal to be burned in furnaces. Coal was delivered to prisoners, including the Chungjin power plant, as well as the Chungjin and Kimchake steelworks, while food was sent to state security or sold in Pyongyang and other parts of the country. Located deep in the forest, far from the site of civilization, lies an abandoned camp whose history is shrouded in mystery and spooky tales. This quiet place, simply called Camp 22, has become a fascinating place for those fascinated by the paranormal and haunted. History of Camp 22. Camp 22, with its dilapidated structures and overgrown vegetation, stands as a silent witness to a bygone era. The remains of military camps, rusted fences, and dilapidated infrastructure tell of a place that was once full of life but is now a derelict. Within these abandoned spaces, eerie whispers of the past are said to still linger. Local legends and stories passed down through generations contribute to the mysteries surrounding Camp 22. Some tales speak of a former military training ground where soldiers were pushed to their limits, their pain and suffering leaving an indelible mark on the land. Others claim that the camp holds the spirits of those who died under mysterious circumstances. One popular tale suggests that the spirits of soldiers who met prematurely during training still roam the grounds. Their apparitions lurk in the shadows, a haunting reminder of the camp's tumultuous history. Legends of Camp 22 Prison. Heroes who ventured into the depths of Camp 22 have reported eerie encounters with the supernatural. Soldiers in outdated uniforms have been seen, and the air is said to be so heavy it seems otherworldly. Some visitors have described hearing demonic footsteps, disjointed voices, and distant cries echoing through the abandoned structures. As night falls, the atmosphere becomes more palpable, and the sense of being watched intensifies. Paranormal investigators and thrill seekers have been investigating Camp 22, capturing unexplained phenomena on camera and in audio, fueling the legends that swirl around this eerie land. While legends and ghost stories lend Camp 22 an air of mystery, there is also an eerie beauty in the decay that overshadows these structures. The juxtaposition of nature to what was once man-made creates a surreal landscape that, for some, adds to the site's eerie allure. As interest in the paranormal continues to grow, so does fascination with places like Camp 22. Urban explorers, historians, and paranormal enthusiasts find themselves compelled to uncover the secrets of this abandoned land. Preserving Camp 22's eerie legacy involves not only documenting paranormal experiences, but also honoring its historical significance. As we delve deeper into the mysteries of this abandoned camp, it is imperative that we take a moment to learn and acknowledge the stories, both tangible and phantasmagorical, that linger through its ruins. Camp 22 remains a testament to its mysterious past. A place where the line between history and horror blurs, it invites us to contemplate the lingering spirits that might call this abandoned home home.